Captain Lee Hana pressed her face against the cold window of Station Omega-7. The stars looked the same as they did 3 years ago, when the Vorthak aliens first tried to attack their space. Nothing had changed out there. The enemy ships stayed, on their side of the invisible line that separated human space from alien space. "Any news from the other stations?" she asked without turning around. Lieutenant Park Min-ho looked up from his glowing screen. His fingers moved quickly over the buttons as he checked messages from other human bases. "Everything is normal, Captain. No alien ships moving toward us. No fights anywhere along the border." Hana nodded but felt worried inside. The reports were too perfect. For 3 whole years, not one alien ship had crossed into human territory. Not one human soldier had died. Not one station had been damaged. It was almost like the aliens were waiting for something. Behind them, Chief Engineer Kim Ji-won worked on the big guns that protected their station. Her tools made soft clicking sounds as she checked every part twice. Her team of mechanics worked beside her, moving faster than usual. They claimed they were just following normal procedures, but Hana noticed they had been working extra hours every day for the past month. "Ji-won, how are the weapons?" Hana asked. "All perfect, Captain," Ji-won replied, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Just making sure everything works when we need it." Hana walked to the communication room where Min-ho sat, surrounded by screens showing different parts of space. Each screen showed a peaceful, empty area with no alien ships. But Min-ho had been staring at these screens for hours, looking for patterns that others might miss. "You have been watching those screens all day," Hana said. "What are you looking for?" Min-ho pointed to one screen. "Look at this, Captain. 3 days ago there were 12 alien supply ships in Sector 5. 2 days ago there were 18. Today there are 24. They are bringing more supplies to their forward bases. Maybe they just need more food for their soldiers," Hana suggested. "No, Captain. Food ships are smaller. These are ammunition carriers and fuel tankers. They are preparing for something big." In another part of the station, Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-hye trained her Marine soldiers. The sound of boots hitting metal floors echoed through the hallways as 30 human fighters practiced combat moves. They had been training harder than ever before, claiming it was for their yearly fitness test. But Hana knew the fitness test was not for another 4 months. "Ji-hye, your soldiers look tired," Hana said as she watched the training. "They asked for extra practice, Captain," Ji-hye replied, breathing heavily. "Marines like to stay ready. We never know when the aliens might try something stupid." Hana walked to the medical bay where Dr. Song Tae-hyung organized supplies. Boxes of bandages, medicines, and surgical tools filled every available space. The medical bay looked more like a warehouse than a hospital. "Expecting many injuries, Doctor?" Hana asked. Dr. Song looked embarrassed. "Just following medical protocols, Captain. We should always have enough supplies for any emergency." But Hana noticed that he had ordered 10 times more supplies than normal. Blood bags filled one entire refrigerator. Surgical equipment that had been stored away for years now sat clean and ready on metal tables. That evening, Hana received a priority message from Admiral Choi Dong-hyun at headquarters. She read it alone in her private office. The message was short but frightening. Intelligence reports suggested that the Vorthak Confederation was gathering the largest fleet ever seen. Hundreds of warships were moving toward the human border. The attack could come within days. After reading the message 3 times, Hana walked through her station again. Now she understood what she had been seeing. Her crew was not just following normal procedures, they were preparing for war. In the FE supply room, Sergeant Nam Hyejin checked ammunition boxes. She counted bullets, energy cells, and explosive charges with the careful attention of someone who knew these supplies might mean the difference between life and death. "Working late again, Sergeant?" Hana asked. "Just making sure we have everything we need, Captain," Nam replied. "Better to have too much than too little." The supply room contained enough ammunition to fight for weeks. Food supplies that normally lasted 1 month were stocked for 3 months. Water recyclers had been cleaned and tested multiple times. As night fell, Hana stood once more at her window looking at the stars. Her station appeared calm and quiet from the outside. Anyone watching would think the humans were just doing their Normal jobs following their normal routines. But Hana knew better. Her people were not quiet because they were weak or scared. They were quiet because they were professionals getting ready to do their job. When carpenters built houses, they did not make noise about how good their hammers were. When doctors performed surgery, they did not boast about their skills. They just worked. The same was true for soldiers. The best fighters did not waste time talking about fighting. They spent their time preparing to win. Tomorrow might bring the largest space battle in human history, but tonight, her crew worked, in professional silence, making sure they would be ready for whatever came next. The border was still intact, and the humans behind it were definitely not quiet. The warning alarm screamed through Station Omega-7 like angry metal birds. Lieutenant Park Minho's hands shook as he stared at his screens. Red dots appeared everywhere, covering the display like a deadly rash. Captain Lee Hana to the bridge. Immediately. He spoke into his microphone with a voice that tried to stay calm. Hana ran through the metal corridors, her boots making loud sounds on the floor. When she reached the bridge, she saw something that made her stomach feel cold. The main screen showed space filled with alien ships. More ships than she had ever seen in one place. How many? She asked. Over 300 Vorthak vessels, Captain, Minho replied, his voice barely above a whisper. They are moving toward our sector and 5 others at the same time. The alien fleet looked like a swarm of angry insects moving through space. Their ships were dark and sharp, built for killing. They moved in perfect formation, like they had practiced this attack many times. Chief Engineer Kim Ji-won burst onto the bridge, her uniform dirty from working on the engines. Captain, I need permission to start the Thunderstrike modifications on our main guns. What modifications? Hana asked. We have been working on them for 2 months, Ji-won explained quickly. They will make our weapons 3 times more powerful, but they use a lot of energy. We can only fire them a few times before we need to recharge. Hana looked at the approaching alien fleet and made her choice. Do it. Make our guns as strong as possible. Throughout the station, people moved with new urgency, but they were not, running around in panic like scared rabbits. Instead, they worked like a well-trained team that had practiced for this moment. Sergeant Nam Hyejin coordinated the movement of ammunition and supplies. Her voice echoed through the corridors as she directed teams of workers. Team Alpha, move the energy cells to Deck 3. Team Beta, I need those missile tubes checked and loaded. Team Gamma, double-check the backup power systems. She had been planning supply routes for months, drawing maps and timing how long a day took to move equipment from one place to another. Now her careful planning showed its value. Supplies moved through the station like water flowing through perfectly designed pipes. Dr. Song Tae-hyung worked in the medical bay, preparing for the wounded that would surely come. He set up 3 additional operating tables and tested all his surgical equipment. His hands moved quickly but steadily as he organized medicine and blood supplies. Doctor, do you think we will need all this? Asked his assistant, looking worried at the amount of medical supplies. I hope we will not need any of it, Dr. Song replied. But if we do need it, we will be ready. Meanwhile, in the alien command, ship far across space, Fleet Commander Vexithara studied reports about the human defenses. His large, insect-like eyes examined pictures of human stations and ships. The humans show no signs of additional preparation, he told his officers. Their ship positions have not changed. They have not called for reinforcements. They are either very confident or very stupid. Sub-Commander Kethmore, his second in NAR, command agreed. Our intelligence shows that humans are emotional creatures who panic under pressure. They will break when they see the size of our fleet. But they were wrong about what they were seeing. The human ships had not moved because they were already in the right positions. They had not called for reinforcements because the reinforcements were already hidden and waiting. The humans were not panicking because they had been preparing for this battle for months. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-hye gathered her Marines in the main assembly hall. 30 soldiers in combat armor stood at attention, their faces serious but not afraid. Today we might face the largest alien attack in human history, she told them. But remember your training. Remember that we fight not just for ourselves, but for every human family behind us. The aliens think we are weak because we have not attacked first. Today, we show them what human strength really looks like. The Marines shouted their agreement, but it was not a wild, emotional shout. It was the controlled response of professional soldiers who knew their job. Back on the bridge, Captain Hana watched the alien fleet grow larger on her screens. Each ship was clearly visible now, bristling with weapons and armor. The enemy had brought enough firepower to destroy a dozen human stations. "Captain," Minho reported, "we are receiving messages from other stations along the defense line. They all report similar numbers of approaching alien ships. This is a coordinated attack on our entire border." Hana nodded grimly. "Send a message to Admiral Choi. Tell him the pressure is building, but we are ready." As the alien fleet came closer, something strange happened throughout the human stations. The normal chatter on communication channels grew quiet. People stopped making jokes or talking about personal things. They focused completely on their work. But this quiet was not the silence of fear. It was the quiet of hunters waiting in ambush. It was the quiet of professionals preparing to do what they did best. The aliens had brought overwhelming force to break the human spirit. But they did not understand that pressure could make some materials stronger instead of weaker. They were about to learn that lesson in the hardest way possible. The first alien laser beams cut through space like red lightning. They struck the outer human stations and lit up the darkness with explosions of fire and metal. The Vorthak attack had begun. "Station Theta 3 has stopped sending signals," Lieutenant Park Minho shouted over the loud warning alarms. His face was pale as he watched his communication screen. "I cannot contact Sectors 9 and 11 either. They have gone completely dark." Captain Lee Hana stood in the middle of her bridge as the station shook from nearby explosions. Through the windows, she could see alien ships pouring through what looked like holes in the human defense line. Green and red laser beams filled the space around them like a deadly light show. "Captain, we are getting breakthrough reports from enemy forces," Lieutenant Commander Yoon Jia reported. "The aliens think they have broken through our defenses. They are sending victory messages to their command ships." On the main screen, the battle looked like a disaster for the humans. Station after station went dark. Entire sections of the defense line appeared to collapse under the alien attack. Human ships seemed to be retreating in panic as hundreds of enemy vessels pushed deeper into human space. But Captain Hana smiled a cold, dangerous smile. She pressed a button on her command chair and spoke into her microphone. "All stations. This is Captain Hana. Execute Protocol Silent Storm. Repeat, execute Protocol Silent Storm." Chief Engineer Kim Ji-woo looked up from her weapon controls, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Hidden weapon platforms are coming online, Captain. Reserve fleets are moving to their attack positions." Far across space, Admiral Choi Dong-yun sat in his command center watching the same battle displays. To anyone else, it would look like the human defense was falling apart. But the Admiral knew better. He had helped plan this trap for 6 months. "Sir, the aliens have taken the bait completely," his tactical officer reported. "Their ships are scattered across 12 different sectors, chasing our retreating forces." "Excellent," Admiral Choi replied. "Now they will learn what happens when you hunt humans." In the alien command ship, Fleet Commander Vexathara watched his forces pour through the broken human lines. His insect-like face showed satisfaction as victory reports flooded in from his ship captains. "The human defenses are crumbling exactly as predicted," he told Sub-Commander Kethmore. "Their ships flee before our might. Their stations fall silent, under our guns. This will be easier than expected." But what the aliens thought was victory was actually the most complex military trap in human history. The retreating human ships were not running away in fear. They were moving to carefully planned positions. The silent stations were not destroyed. They were playing dead while their crews prepared deadly surprises. Sergeant Nam Hyejin crouched in the darkness of an asteroid field, commanding a hidden weapon platform that looked like space junk from the outside. Around her, 30 other platforms waited in similar hiding spots. They had been positioned months ago, disguised as destroyed ships and floating debris. "All hunter units, this is Supply Command," she whispered into her radio. "The prey has entered the trap. Wait for my signal." Lieutenant Park Min-ho's job changed completely when Protocol Silent Storm began. Instead of trying to communicate with other stations, he now coordinated the most complicated ambush ever attempted in space. His screens showed the positions of hundreds of human ships and weapon platforms, all invisible to alien sensors. "Captain, all pieces are in position," he reported quietly. "We have enemy forces surrounded in sectors 4, 7, 9, and 12. They do not know we are here." Dr. Song Tae-hyung worked frantically in his medical bay, but not because of battle wounds. He was preparing the station to receive alien prisoners. His medical equipment would be used to keep captured enemies alive for questioning, not to treat human injuries. The alien ships pushed deeper into what they thought was conquered human territory. They spread out to occupy space stations and patrol routes, dividing their forces to control more area. Each step took them further into the trap. Chief, Engineer Kim Ji-woo watched her weapon displays with the patience of a hunter waiting for the perfect shot. Her Thunderstrike modifications were fully charged and ready. Around the station, other hidden weapons powered up silently. "Captain, all weapon systems show green," she reported. "We can begin the counterattack at any time." But Captain Hana waited. The trap was not complete yet. She needed the alien forces to be completely scattered and confused before she gave the order to attack. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-hee and her Marines waited in their assault pods, ready to board disabled enemy ships. They had practiced this maneuver hundreds of times in simulation, but today would be their first real battle. "Marines, remember, your training," she told her soldiers over the radio. "Hit hard, move fast, and show no mercy to those who threaten human families." Finally, when the alien forces were spread across dozens of sectors and completely separated from each other, Captain Hana gave the order that would change everything. "All units, all stations, all hidden platforms," she said calmly into her microphone. "This is command. The storm breaks now. Execute Thunderstrike. Repeat, execute Thunderstrike." In that moment, the quiet humans behind the intact border showed the aliens what real fury looked like. The storm was about to break, and the Vorthak Confederation would never be the same. The space around the human defense line exploded into deadly light. Hidden weapon platforms that had looked like floating junk suddenly came alive with massive guns. Asteroid fields that seemed empty revealed themselves to be full of human warships. The trap was sprung. All weapons, fire at will. "Captain Lee," Hana commanded. Chief Engineer Kim Ji-woo slammed her hand down on the firing button. The Thunderstrike weapons she had spent months perfecting roared to life. Blue-white energy beams, 3 times more powerful than normal laser cannons, cut through space like swords of light. The alien ships that had seemed so strong moments before now exploded like fireworks. "Direct hit on enemy cruiser Delta 7, she reported with satisfaction. "Target destroyed. Moving to next target." Lieutenant Park Min-ho's communication screens lit up with reports from across the battle zone. But these were not distress calls. They were victory reports. "Station Echo 4 reports 12 enemy ships destroyed," he announced. "Station Bravo 2 has captured an alien supply convoy. Hidden Platform 7 reports enemy command ship disabled and ready for boarding." The Vorthak forces found themselves caught in a nightmare. Ships that they thought were retreating suddenly turned around and attacked them from behind. Weapon platforms emerged from every hiding place imaginable. What had seemed like scattered human resistance was actually a perfectly coordinated counterattack. Sub-Commander Kethmore stared at his battle screens in horror. Red warning lights flashed everywhere as his ship sent panic messages. "Commander, we are surrounded. Human forces are attacking from all directions. This is impossible." Fleet Commander Vexithara could not believe what he was seeing. How did they hide so many ships? Our sensors showed empty space. But there was no time for answers. Human assault pods launched from hidden positions and headed straight for the alien command ships. Inside the pods, Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-hye and her Marines prepared for boarding action. "Remember, we want their commanders alive for questioning," she told her soldiers as their pods shook from enemy fire. "Everyone else is fair game." The pod smashed through the hull of an alien cruiser. Yoon Jae kicked open the door and led her Marines into the enemy ship. The aliens inside were not ready for close combat. They had expected to fight from a distance with their big guns, not face human soldiers with rifles and determination. Secure the bridge, Yoon shouted as her Marines spread through the alien ship. Take their computer systems intact. Sergeant Nam Hyejin coordinated the battle from her hidden weapon platform. Her voice was calm and professional as she directed the attack, like a deadly orchestra conductor. Hunter Pack Alpha, enemy destroyers at grid reference 774. Hunter Pack Beta, alien supply ships are trying to escape at grid 812. Cut them off before they reach the jump point. The alien ships that had poured through the human lines with such confidence now found themselves trapped and surrounded. Every escape route was blocked by human forces that had been waiting in ambush. Dr. Song Taehyung's medical bay filled with activity, but not the kind he had expected. Instead of treating wounded humans, he found himself preparing to treat captured aliens. The human attack was so effective that they were taking many more prisoners than casualties. Prepare detention cells 3 through 7, he instructed his medical assistants. We will need to keep alien prisoners healthy for interrogation. Chief Engineer Kim Ji-woo's weapon systems performed perfectly. Months of secret modifications and improvements showed their worth as human firepower overwhelmed the alien fleet. Her Thunderstrike cannons destroyed enemy ships with single shots. Captain, weapon efficiency is at 112%, she reported proudly. The modifications are working better than expected. The battle was not just about superior weapons or clever tactics. It was about the difference between professional soldiers and overconfident bullies. The aliens had expected an easy victory against what they thought were weak humans. Instead, they faced warriors who had spent years preparing for this exact moment. Captain Hana watched the battle unfold with the calm satisfaction of someone whose careful planning was working perfectly. Every move the aliens made had been predicted and prepared for. Every escape route they tried was already blocked. Minho, signal Admiral Choi, she ordered. Tell him the unleashing is complete. Enemy fleet coordination has collapsed. We are mopping up scattered survivors. Lieutenant Park Minho sent the message with a smile on his face. Signal sent, Captain. Also, we are receiving surrender requests from 47 alien vessels. They want to give up. The Vorthak Confederation's mighty fleet was falling apart. Ships that had not been destroyed were desperately trying to escape. Others were sending surrender signals to avoid being blown up. The coordinated attack that was supposed to crush human resistance had become a complete disaster for the aliens. Fleet Commander Vexithara's command ship shook as human Marines cut through its defenses. Through his bridge windows, he could see his fleet burning and scattered across space. The quiet humans he had thought were weak had revealed themselves to be the most dangerous enemies he had ever faced. How? He whispered as Sergeant Nam Hyejin and her Marine team broke onto his bridge. How did you hide all this from our sensors? Nam smiled as she pointed her rifle at the alien commander. We did not hide anything. We just did not make noise about our preparations. That is what professionals do. The unleashing was complete. The aliens had learned the hard truth about human quietness. The last alien escape pod disappeared into the dark of space, carrying the few survivors back to their home worlds. Captain Lee Hana stood at her window again, watching space return to its peaceful appearance. But this peace was different from before. This was the quiet that came after a storm had passed and left everything changed. Status report, she said to Lieutenant Park Minho, who was back at his communications station. All stations report secure, Captain, Minho replied, but now his voice carried pride instead of worry. The border is intact. Enemy forces have retreated. Beyond sensor range. We are receiving congratulations from Fleet Command. The battle had lasted only 6 hours, but it felt like a lifetime had passed. Around the station, her crew worked to repair the minor damage they had taken, but most of the repair work was just cleaning up after their own weapon systems had fired so many shots. Chief Engineer Kim Ji-woo supervised the cooling of her Thunderstrike weapons. The barrels glowed red from the heat of battle, but they had performed perfectly. Her team moved around the weapon systems with quiet satisfaction, already planning improvements for next time. How did the modifications work? Hana asked. Better than I dreamed, Captain, Jiwoo replied with a tired smile. We destroyed 43 enemy ships with direct hits, 0 weapon malfunctions. The aliens never expected our guns to be so powerful. Dr. Song Tae-hyung worked in his expanded medical bay, but his patients were not what anyone had expected. Instead of wounded human soldiers, he treated captured alien officers. The prisoners looked confused and defeated, still trying to understand how their mighty fleet had been destroyed so completely. The alien commander keeps asking the same question, Dr. Song reported to Captain Hana. He wants to know how we hid so many ships and weapons from their sensors. What did you tell him? Hana asked. I told him we did not hide anything. We just did our jobs quietly and professionally. He does not seem to understand the difference. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-hye returned from her boarding missions with her Marines. Their armor was scorched from battle, but none of them had been seriously injured. The alien ships had not been prepared for close combat with human soldiers. Final boarding report, Captain, she said. We captured 12 enemy vessels intact, including 2 command ships. Their computer systems contain valuable intelligence about alien fleet movements and base locations. Any casualties among your Marines? Hana asked. 3 minor injuries, all treated and returned to duty. The aliens fought like they expected us to run away when we saw them. They were not ready for humans who fight back. Sergeant Nam Hyejin coordinated the collection of destroyed alien equipment floating in space. Her supply teams worked efficiently to gather anything useful while avoiding the dangerous debris from exploded ships. We have enough alien technology to study for months, she reported. Their weapons, their armor, their communication systems. Intelligence Command will be very happy with what we captured. Throughout the human defense line, similar scenes played out at every station. The coordinated alien attack had been turned into a complete victory for the humans. Enemy survivors limped home with stories that would change how aliens thought about human military power. In the Vorthak home systems, the few ships that escaped carried terrible news. Fleet Commander Vexathara, now a prisoner aboard Station Omega-7, would not be returning to explain what had gone wrong. The mighty invasion fleet that was supposed to crush human resistance had been destroyed in a single day. Admiral Choi Dong-hyun reviewed the battle reports from his command center. The numbers were almost unbelievable. Over 300 alien ships had attacked the human border. Less than 50 had escaped. The rest were either destroyed or captured. Send a message to all stations, he ordered his communication officer. Well done. Return to normal patrol status, the border is secure. But everyone knew that normal had changed. The aliens would think twice before testing human defenses again. The quiet, professional humans behind the border had shown what happened when someone pushed them too far. Captain Hana walked through her station as her crew returned to their regular duties. The same people who had seemed so calm and routine before the battle now moved with quiet confidence. They had proven to themselves and their enemies that their training and preparation worked. Captain, Lieutenant Park Min-ho called from his station. We are intercepting alien communications from their retreat. They are calling us the Silent Death, and hunters who make no sound until they strike. Hana smiled at that. The aliens finally understood what human quiet really meant. It was not weakness or fear. It was the silence of professionals who did not need to boast about their abilities because their actions spoke louder than words. Chief Engineer Kim Ji-woo finished her post-battle inspections and joined Captain Hana at the window. Together they looked out at space that appeared empty and peaceful again. Do you think they will try again? Ji-woo asked. Maybe, Hana replied. But not soon, and not the same way. They thought our quiet meant we were weak. Now they know it means we are dangerous. The border was intact, stronger than ever, and the humans behind it had returned to their quiet, professional watch. But now the entire galaxy knew what that quiet really meant. It was the silence of guardians who were always ready, always prepared, and never to be underestimated. The new quiet was the sound of respect earned through strength,